Today, more than £60 billion worth of investment into the UK. What does that mean? It means 40,000 new jobs in Britain, paying decent wages, more money in the pockets of working people, high streets regenerated, new opportunities for young people to get skilled up and build careers.
The situation changed dramatically, and the audience was shocked when Rachel Reeves was caught lying again. Her attempts to justify herself only exacerbated the effect, creating a sense of ruthless hypocrisy. She didn't seem to realize that the gap between her statements and reality had become completely unacceptable. Yes, for a long time she seemed to be some kind of symbol of reliability, but now this whole blanket of promises began to crack at the seams. It was as if Rishi Sunak had thrown a bucket of cold water on everyone who still believed in Reeves' honesty. Accusations of disproportionate budget deficits open her eyes to the fact that she may not have the slightest idea how to manage the country's finances. Numerous economists and analysts have already started talking about the possible consequences of her appointments, and all of them do not bode well. The Bank of England has raised the alarm, stressing that its initiative could prolong suffering for many citizens. In conditions when it comes to the welfare of the nation, such statements:
national insurance, up. Capital gains tax, up. Inheritance tax, up. Energy taxes, up. Business rates, up. First-time buyer stamp duty, up. Pensions tax, up. They have fiddled the figures. Don't like it, but this is the truth. They have fiddled the figures. They have raised tax to record levels. They have broken their promises, and it is the working people of this country that are going to pay the price.
Despite Rachel Reeves' attempts to present her budget as a tool for progress, many economists are already voicing their dissatisfaction. They emphasize that the real picture shows an increase in financial burdens, which can turn into a disaster for those who depend on the stability of their work. In the context of existing economic difficulties, increased taxes are perceived as an additional threat. In response to criticism, Reeves cites examples of other countries where such measures have led to success, but experts remind that every economy is unique, and direct borrowing does not always produce positive results. Meanwhile, opponents continue to point out the shortcomings of her proposals, accusing them of not taking into account the interests of ordinary citizens. Amid the growing discontent, the opinions of those who have already faced the consequences of economic instability attract special attention. They express fears that the budget will only worsen their situation, making life even more difficult. In this environment, more and more voices are demanding a review of the budget in order to find more equitable and effective solutions for all segments of the population.
Well, let's get the reaction now of the Vice President of the National Farmers Union, Rachel Hallos, who joins me now live. Very good evening to you. Thanks so much for talking to us. What do you make of this inheritance tax measure, and what are other farmers saying to you as well?
Well, I'm actually up in Scotland. I'm away from my own home farm at the moment, and I'm at a sale up in the west coast of Scotland, a Select Cattle Society sale, and every single farmer that I have seen, these are people that I've known for years, have come straight up to me and said, what on earth is going on? How are we supposed to be able to deal with this? How do we ensure that our business survives? How are we supposed to invest in our business and grow, which we thought this is what government wanted us to do? So I think, listening to the reports that you've already said, people are just baffled by how on earth this is part of the plan, to be quite honest. The new government came in, we've been seesawing with previous governments. We were told that we were going to get stability. We were told that the government needed growth. We needed to generate this income for the country. We're up for that.
In fact, the real story of Reeves' budget disaster is that she is trying to mislead us into believing that we will not notice how her fair budget will actually become a heavy burden on workers. She raises taxes and makes empty promises, hiding her true intentions behind them. This lie about the budget is just the tip of the iceberg, and we are just beginning to realize how terrible the consequences can be. We are talking about serious economic problems that could befall us if this budget is adopted. When the Governor of the Bank of England, Andrew Bailey, warns that Reeves' tax and spending plan could keep inflation high for another 2 years, it sounds like a wake-up call. He strongly warns that all these additional government spending could lead to even more price increases. Real people are suffering. It's not just statistics. This is real life, full of anxiety and uncertainty when every day.
Today, more than £60 billion worth of investment into the UK. What does that mean? It means 40,000 new jobs in Britain, paying decent wages, more money in the pockets of working people, high streets regenerated, new opportunities for young people to get skilled up and build careers.
We are on the verge of financial disaster, and fear is gripping the hearts of millions. Each of us feels how life is gradually becoming more difficult, as if we are stuck in a quagmire of long-term commitments and missed opportunities. People who used to be able to afford a little joy are now forced to count every penny. How much longer will this madness continue when every new day brings only disappointment? Families are torn between the need to spend and the desire to save. Every trip to the store turns into a test where the prices of basic products are rising every week. Fear for tomorrow becomes a constant companion, and the future looks too bleak to even dream about it. Is this the life we dreamed of? And the most terrible thing is that this situation did not arise by chance. The policy that was supposed to protect and support is increasingly severing ties between the government and the people. And while those in power are playing their games, ordinary citizens are plunging into their financial traps.
All of our plans are fully costed and fully funded. And that means no tax rises for working people.
We're not going to be raising tax on working people.
We will not raise taxes on working people.
We're not putting up taxes on working people.
Labour government will not raise income tax, will not raise national insurance contributions, and will not raise VAT.
We're not going to increase tax on working people, and that means
that Labour will not be putting up taxes on working people.
But no, we don't think that we should be raising taxes on working people.
There'll be no additional taxes on households under a Labour government.
Let me be absolutely clear, we will not raise tax for working people.
We will not raise taxes on working people.
We have said we're not raising taxes on working people.
And we're not going to be increasing taxes on working people.
We will not be increasing taxes on working people.
That is a commitment not to increase taxes on working people.
I don't believe it's fair to raise taxes on working people.
We will not further increase personal taxes
on lower
people.
That burden on working people.
There's nothing in our manifesto which requires additional taxes.
It's complete garbage. We will not be raising taxes on working people.
We're not going to be raising taxes on working people.
I want taxes to be
And we're not going to be increasing taxes on working people.
We've said we will not be raising taxes on working people.
I am announcing an increase in employers' national insurance contributions.
We have no plans to raise taxes on working people. We've said it a million times.
It's by 1.2 percentage points.
And I'll spell that out. No income tax, no national insurance, no VAT.
Means that this budget raises taxes by £40 billion.
I want taxes on working people to be lower.
It seems that the Labour Party has decided to undermine one of the foundations on which Britain rests. Let's talk frankly about pensioners. Do you really think they will be safe from all these changes? They are also exhausted and suffering from the consequences of this budget. This is especially painful when Labour continues to talk about fairness and economic growth. But where is this justice when pensioners can barely make ends meet, when they are forced to choose between medicines and bills? It seems that they live in some kind of parallel world where, by making everyone poorer, the country somehow becomes richer. By 2028, almost 4 million people will be forced to pay higher taxes. And this applies not only to the rich. We are talking about teachers, nurses, and police officers, those who work every day for the benefit of society and suddenly find themselves trapped in a higher tax bracket. How do Labour justify this? This is called a financial break, and it's a pretty insidious trick. They don't raise tax thresholds due to inflation, and therefore, as your salary increases, you end up paying more taxes. Labour is trying to present this as a fair policy. But since when is squeezing funds out of middle-income families considered fair? They seem to have forgotten who they have to fight for. All this will lead to is even more oppression of families, lower consumer spending, and a shrinking economy.
I really am, towards the end of my tether.
Do these people not understand where food comes from in this country?
The industry is on its knees. It's on its knees.
My primary concern is actually for my kids here.
I have always believed that this budget should support the working people. But if this is the case, why should I be afraid that we will be robbed at the most difficult moment when a tragedy occurs in our family? The farmer's son found a note in which his father was looking for ways to protect their farm from the new tax burden. By interfering with the law on tax breaks for agricultural property, the Labour Party is actually destroying the lives of those who feed our country. They complicate the process of land transfer, and for many farmers this means that they will have to sell off some of their land to pay taxes. These people who get up before dawn and work in all conditions provide food for all of us, and the Labour Party treats them as if they are just a source of money that can be squeezed to the last drop. I was shocked at how the Labour Party, which constantly declares its support for the working class, actually betrays those who really work. The farmers we know and love are victims of a system that does not appreciate their efforts and does not understand their suffering. And even worse, solving them will not improve the problem in any way. It won't improve the economy or raise the standard of living for anyone. All this does is threaten our food security. If all our farmers go broke, where are Labour going to get food from?
I'm a small business owner, I'm a publican. Look, I would like to see people earn more money, and I'm never going to want to take that away from people. But that has to be paid for by someone, and that's the employer. Now, not only I've got higher wage bills coming, probably £200 or £300 extra a week I've got to find as a business, but national insurance contributions going up, that's going to add a few £100 a week as well. And then we've got the business rates. Obviously, pubs have been in quite a bad state since COVID, and we're just sort of coming out, you know, the inflationary pressures as well. And now suddenly they're taking some of that relief away. So next year, we've got to find quite a bit of money per week extra just to survive.
Labour needs to seriously rethink its approach to this issue. They should start by listening to people, because right now their idea of justice seems to be taking every last pound out of working families. Every day we see how working people, sacrificing their strength and time, are trying to make ends meet. Labour has the opportunity to become a reliable support for working people. Indifference only deepens the crisis of trust. If the party does not begin to hear the voice of the people, separating itself from elite interests, then justice will remain only a beautiful word, and working families will continue to suffer. What do you think about this video? Share your opinion in the comments. See you soon.